It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast on this bright and sunny Monday morning, the 29th of September, 2025. Coming to you from my studio in Forest, Virginia, right outside of Lynchburg. Good morning to everybody. Today's show, of course, is brought to you by Will U.S., the owner of Scoot Around, and by Chilliescruises. We've got a few news stories this morning. Of course, the major thing we got to deal with is weather and some of the ships that have had to alter itineraries, and that is literally changing by the hour. As Hurricane Humberto strengthens again, it was a 5, dropped back to a 3, back to a 4, could go back to a 5 again as it's a high 4 right now. Tropical storm Imelda will probably be hurricane strength by this evening or tomorrow. So we're going to have 2 hurricanes dancing around in the Atlantic. Also today, we're going to talk about the Star Princess being delivered. Some cars recovered. Glass shatters on Utopia. A rogue wave strikes Vision of the Seas. Fee for a second Entree. 4 Filipino cruise members deported from Jewel of the Seas. And a major change in Norwegian Major change in Norwegian's loyalty program that broke about an hour ago. All this morning, that and lots more. Today, folks, is National Coffee Day. Some of you guys can drink coffee all day long. I can't. I have 2 cups when I first get up in the morning. That's it. I'm done. I don't want any more coffee the rest of the day. If I did, I'd never sleep. And it doesn't matter if it's decaf or not. I want my 2 coffees in the morning. No doubt about that. But then I switch to water or Diet Coke or adult beverages, depending if I'm on a cruise or not. Had a big birthday celebration here at the house yesterday. My brother-in-law turned 92. So he said he wanted his birthday dinner from Olive Garden. So we brought in Olive Garden for dinner last night. And I didn't even to fix a cocktail. I just don't drink at home very often. I had a couple on my birthday here earlier in the month. It's in there. It would have been a perfect place for me to, mix one. Gene rarely drinks. He and my sister used to have one when they're out in the motorhome in the evening, but he never drinks at home. And of course, now my sister's on all kinds of medications and probably shouldn't. But anyway, so we had a nice birthday celebration yesterday. Technically, his birthday was Saturday, but Amanda had plans for Saturday night, so we did the birthday thing yesterday for Mr. Gene. So anyway, today's National Coffee Day. Have a cup of coffee. Have an extra one. This day in history. In 1916, John D. Rockefeller. I got to know his grandson rather well. But anyway, he became the world's first billionaire. Of course, that was from all sorts of things. Oil. A bunch of other things as well. If you're a podcast person, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net or wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search for travel and cruise industry news, and up pops the fat guy. We do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday all the time. Other days, if anything major happens or I'm traveling and want to do continuing live streams, the schedule can change on that. But we try to stick with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday no matter what. Occasionally, with travel complications, that can be changed, but I try to make it up, that day or later in the day if I have to. So before we get to talking about the weather this morning, I spent a pretty good amount of time on the phone last night with Elizabeth on location. Our lovely Elizabeth. And she is on St. Kitts. If any of you are heading out in the Eastern Caribbean, she's going to be on St. Kitts for, I'm not sure how long, a month, 6 weeks, something like that. She's actually there helping a friend, so she's taking her time between contracts, her vacation, so to speak, to actually work some on St. Kitts for some friends, to help some friends out. But they flew her in there first class. She got to Miami after leaving Virgin Voyages. She got to Miami and then got on a jet to St. Kitts first class. And, Elizabeth is like us normal folks. We don't normally fly first class. But she's on a jet flying first class. And it was a pretty day with some nice fluffy clouds going into St. Kitts. Some of you will probably recognize St. Kitts that have been there before. Most of us have at one time or another. But here's where things different. At the airport, they flagged her down when she got off the plane. And after landing in St. Kitts, she was escorted to the private terminal. They served her some champagne. That was okay. While she waited for them to fetch her luggage and did all the custom and immigration stuff, she didn't have to do any of it. She says, I really like the VIP treatment. And then they dropped her off. So I got to get from, let me get back to the pictures here. Where was I? All right. So that's at the airport to the private terminal. And that's in the private terminal with a little bit of champagne. And then they put her in a car and they dropped her off at a resort where she's got, the only thing she doesn't like is she's on a first floor, so she can't actually see out to the ocean. She'd rather be on the second floor so she could look out and see the water. But on the first floor, she just sees the beach. Now, one of the things that, that's off in the distance there. But folks, look at this beach. Look how crowded it is. There ain't nobody on the beach. So she could go out there and be the only person in miles of beach, which she's probably done many times now since she's been there a few days. But that's all in St. Kitts. So if you're going into St. Kitts, she said she was going to try to join us this morning. I don't know if she will be able to or not, but that's unfortunately, why am I not getting? Let me jump over here and check. Hello, what a gorgeous morning. Wow, Katie's with us. All right, so there's Gary Older Than Dirt from the West Coast. Joanne's with us from the Philly suburbs, and Katie's here. And Elizabeth says, am I on air? Yes. Where is she's trying to find me, I guess. Hang on. I see nothing. Are you guys seeing me, by the way? Somebody drop in a comment of, am I on the air? I know Hot Air Tom is not. Okay, so I'm back on now. I can't find the silly link for her to get on. Mike says on there. Yes, thank you, Mike. And so if I do this, okay, I can't just get dead air. Elizabeth, I'm going to have to apologize to you. I can't get to the link while I'm live for some reason. It won't. It won't give me that. Hot Air Tom has a chiropractor appointment this morning. So share your referral link. Check out StreamYard and get 10% discount. No, I don't want that. There's Elizabeth. Okay, Elizabeth, I was trying to find. I was trying to find the link, and it was been dead for 20 minutes trying to get to you, and I couldn't. That was frustrating. Okay, so Elizabeth is now finally in the audience from coming from St. Kitts, and Elizabeth, I just showed your pictures and told a little bit of the story about you being there and getting there and going through the fanciness at the airport. All right, so that takes Elizabeth out of the way. All right, now let's look at the next important thing on the agenda today is the weather. And why is this not showing? Man, I tell you what, I can't tell if things are just totally befuddled or not this morning. Nothing seems to be working properly. All right. So that's oh no, that's the live. So let's back up here. Wow, this thing is being totally goofy. Wow, I beat the weather. Ah, yes, I know. Now I'm trying. Things are getting. These are so screwed up this morning. Um, and I can't tell why. That's the goofy part. Okay, so now I got to get over here to media asset. There we go. All right, so that get past Elizabeth things, and the weather stuff's not there. It got eaten. Okay, so I'm gonna have to try to. I gotta load this up. I did this once before, folks. Honest, I'm not kidding when I'm telling you that I did it earlier, and it was there, and now it's gone. So we're gonna bring it up again. All right, so starting off the weather today. We're going to start off in the Pacific for one crazy reason. This is the Pacific, and you'll notice that there are three storms showing in the Pacific, and I'm assuming that that is on the air. And there's no absolute guarantee of that. So the Pacific, you've got the one closest to Mexico is an area of low pressure expected to develop toward the end of the week. 0% chance in the next 48 hours, but jumps up to 40% chance. Then the yellow in the middle of the three is just south of Baja, a low pressure located a few hundred miles west of Manzanilla, producing a small but concentrated amount of showers and thunderstorms. They're talking about very little further development of this, like 10%, both 48 hours and 72. Then the red one down here is the ballbuster, excuse my French. Well, south of Baja, an area of distributed weather associated with a sharp trough of low pressure located several hundred miles offshore of southwest Mexico continues to show about an 80% chance of development in the next 72 hours, 90% chance in the next 7 days. This is going to end up being another hurricane to nowhere unless it gets to Hawaii before it breaks up. That's what's happened in the Pacific. Now, here is what's happening in the Atlantic, which is even more disturbing. That's the Atlantic map. And this one, I talked about this a little bit on Friday, and it pretty much has developed exactly as we expected it was going to. You've got two systems, as we're showing. You got Humberto, which is a big, massive, strong storm. It has been a Category 5, currently a Category 4, carrying 145-mile-an-hour winds. Pressure's at 940 and steady. It's moving northwest at 13 miles an hour. It's in the process of a major turn to the east. Inside of that is Tropical Storm Imelda, currently 50 miles an hour. Pressure is down to 993 and dropping. It's moving to the north at 9, and Humberto is going to literally pull it across its path. And it's going to take a massive right-hand turn, probably right off the coast of North Carolina. We're not expecting either of these storms to have landfall in the United States or Canada. They're going to head on out into the ocean. They could combine, they could stay apart, they could dance back and forth with each system influencing the others. Either way, it's going to cause unbelievable coastal erosion, winds, high surf, rough surf, all up and down the East Coast. Bermuda. Whether or not the storms actually hit Bermuda is still debatable, but they need to be tied down and ready for that. All right, so for Imelda, that's the one closest to the states. It's expected to continue to bring tropical storm conditions to portions of northwest Bahamas today. Rainfall associated with Imelda will continue to impact eastern Cuba and the Bahamas through tomorrow, which will likely produce flash and urban flooding. Mudslides are possible in the higher terrain. Heavy rainfall across the coastal Carolinas could cause isolated flash and urban flooding through Tuesday. Interest in Bahamas should monitor the progress of Imelda, as the hurricane watch could be required later today. Swells and high surf from both Humberto and Imelda are expected to produce dangerous marine conditions and rip currents along the east coast of Florida and Georgia today. These conditions are expected to spread northward along much of the east coast of the United States early this week. Humberto, in the meantime, tropical storm force winds could begin to affect Bermuda by late tomorrow, and a tropical storm watch is in effect for the island. Interests there should continue to monitor the progress of Humberto. Dangerous marine conditions, including high surf, life-threatening rip currents, are affecting beaches in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and Bermuda. Dangerous surf conditions are expected to begin affecting much of the east coast of the U.S. today and probably through much of the week. This could be a mess, folks. Yes, it's not going to be like storms that we've had, hitting direct and crippling areas up and down the coast of Florida and everywhere else. That is not going to happen. Okay? Why are you not coming off? But between the two, man, we could get a lot of rain dumped there. They're talking, along some of the coastal areas, 4 to 6 inches on top of what you've already gotten. So that's going to definitely cause some flooding and, just not be a good thing at all. All right, so I don't understand why this has been off my backup computer, where I normally get the chat, is not showing the chat. I'm not getting the chat on the live today that I had yesterday. Who knows? Maybe I need to just retire. You think, there the chat's up finally. So I just had to take it out and get it back. All right, that takes care of all of that. Tying in with the weather is what it's doing to the shipping industry and the cruise industry. But before I get to that, let's take a quick break for one of our fine network sponsors, and then I'll come back with that as the lead story today. All right. Let's get rolling with the news.
At least a dozen cruise ships have already been forced to change course as Hurricane Humberto, now a powerful Category 4 storm, churns in the Atlantic. Meanwhile, a developing system near the Bahamas, designated AL94 and expected to become Tropical Storm Imelda, is also prompting adjustments to itineraries out of Florida. Cruise lines are accustomed to navigating around storms during hurricane season, and ships are designed with the flexibility to alter routes quickly to keep guests and crew safe. While full cancellations are rare, itinerary swaps, port changes, and added sea days are common during major weather disruptions. Humberto is currently located several hundred miles northeast of the Leeward Islands and is sending strong swells across the Atlantic. Multiple ships have rerouted, some even shifting from Caribbean ports to New England and Canada instead. At the same time, the brewing system near the northwest Bahamas threatens to impact short sailings to Nassau and private islands from Port Canaveral and Miami. So far, no cruises have been canceled outright, but major lines including Royal Caribbean, Carnival Cruise Line, and Disney Cruise Line have confirmed changes to ensure safe sailing conditions. Ships impacted so far: Royal Caribbean, Star of the Seas, September 28, Port Canaveral, Eastern Caribbean canceled. Now sailing Western Caribbean, Costa Maya, Roatan, Cozumel. Coco Cay canceled. Refunds issued. Symphony of the Seas, September 28, Cape Liberty, NJ, Bahamas, Florida replaced with Canada Itinerary, Sydney and Halifax, overnight in Sydney. Onboard credit and future cruise credit offered. Utopia of the Seas, September 26, Port Canaveral, Nassau canceled, added sea day. Coco Cay remains. Freedom of the Seas, September 27, Miami, Bahamas canceled, rerouting to Western Caribbean, ports TBD. Liberty of the Seas, September 27, Cape Liberty, NJ, Bermuda replaced with St. John, Canada, overnight. Adventure of the Seas, September 27, Port Canaveral, Bahamas adjustments, Western Caribbean swaps possible. Grandeur of the Seas, September 27, Tampa, Cozumel port call moved earlier to avoid storms. Enchantment of the Seas, Bahamas replaced with Western Caribbean, Costa Maya, Cozumel. Carnival Cruise Line, Carnival Sunrise, September 25, Miami, Half Moon Cay moved to September 26, September 27 at sea. Carnival Venezia, ongoing, return to NY, skipped Bahamas port, returning earlier. Carnival Horizon, September 25, Miami, Grand Turk canceled, replaced with Cozumel. Disney Cruise Line, Disney Wish, September 26, Port Canaveral, Castaway Cay rescheduled to September 27, Nassau canceled, September 28 as a sea day. Ships at risk of future changes. Royal Caribbean Anthem of the Seas, September 28, may skip Bermuda, possible Canada reroute. Carnival Celebration, September 28, Miami, likely shifting Coco Cay call to Cozumel. Norwegian Getaway, September 27, Port Canaveral, Bahamas itinerary under review, Western Caribbean likely. Disney Fantasy, September 27, Port Canaveral, Eastern Caribbean may see port order changes. Florida cruise ports remain open but are on heightened alert, with Humberto pushing swells toward Bermuda and the U.S. East Coast, and Imelda likely to strengthen in the Bahamas. Further itinerary changes are possible in the coming week. Passengers with canceled excursions will automatically receive refunds. Travel insurance is strongly recommended during hurricane season to cover potential disruptions.
Okay, remember guys, you got all these ships that were supposed to be in the storm's path in this 3 or 4 day period. All those ships are trying to go into ports that were already scheduled with other ships. So even if they were doing a Bahamas cruise and now they're going to try to do a Western cruise, they got to find space in the Western Caribbean ports. The same thing with the ones going up to Canada to the Canadian ports. They got to have space, and sometimes there's just not enough space when you take out a big chunk of the destinations in Bermuda and the Bahamas for them to do that. They're still, first and foremost, they're going to keep their passengers and crew safe. That they're going to do. Any changes other than that, you just have to put up with it. Sometimes you can get refunds, sometimes you don't. People fuss about that all the time. I fuss about it too when I don't get a refund when I have a port canceled. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. So that's one of the drawbacks in sailing this time of year. Obviously, you got to balance that with the fact that you're getting bargains. We're getting much better pricing by sailing in the hurricane season. That's why I sail in it all the time. I've always been busy this time of year. Yeah, if it wasn't for me losing my car for 23 days starting tomorrow, I'd be going on a cruise here in 10 days. So that's just not going to happen this year. But we'll see. I'll make up for it. I'm looking at some other things for next year now. I got a couple wild hairs in places I won't mention, but we'll see. All right. So enough for the weather, man. If you guys are in any weather, just be safe. Stay safe, folks. That's the important thing. All y'all stay safe, whether you're on a cruise or at home. Don't do anything risky and have problems from this.
If you get tired from walking too far, get a scooter. It's the only way to go. Are you planning a trip to Anaheim or LA in the next few months? It's a great time of the year to visit Southern California, with mild temperatures and seasonal Halloween and Christmas events at Disneyland. Anaheim and LA rentals are 15% off. Book by November 30th, 2025. Reserve online. Call 1-888-441-7575. Use SRN 11137 or email chillie@bookalaska.net.
All right. So before we get on to the next story, let me point out also, folks, that my next cruise officially right now, this is subject to change, but my next cruise will be February 7th, February 14th, the back-to-back on the Grandiosa. And I just went off air. And now I'm looking like I'm back here. Somebody tell me in the chat room if I'm back on there. All right, so the Grandiosa from February 7th to February 14th. I'm not going to mention any names, but I sent a proposal out to one of our family about joining us. And they're pretty good prices right now. So, matter of fact, if I have time today, I'm going to call and see if there's any possibility of repricing Kenneth and mine. Somebody did say that she's working on it. I wasn't going to say it was Gretchen, but Gretchen's looking at it and thinking about it. So maybe Gretchen and Fred will join us. So we'll see. But anyway, that's kind of, so any of you might be interested, call me, because we'll, the prices are looking really nice right now. So, all right, let's get on with the news.
Star Princess, the second Sphere-class ship in the Princess Cruises fleet, was officially delivered today during a celebratory handover ceremony at the Fincantieri shipyard in Monfalcone, Italy. Star Princess is the 17th ship for the line, following the 2024 debut of Sun Princess. In a follow-up to one of Friday's stories, after the recent theft of 17 cars from Southampton Cruise Port, security will be ramping up to make sure this doesn't happen again. Southampton Cruise Parking Services will strengthen security measures from its First Avenue facility. The auto thefts took place overnight between September 9th and 10, while many cruise passengers were away on their sailings. Police quickly launched an investigation, and as of this week, 8 of the missing vehicles have been recovered. Reports from victims suggest the total number recovered may be higher, with at least one owner successfully tracking and recovering their vehicle independently. A glass panel broke on deck 15 of Utopia of the Seas this week. The incident occurred in the Windjammer marketplace. No one was injured in the incident and the panel did not fall. The glass was quickly roped off for repairs. Royal Caribbean has been plagued with multiple glass incidents on different ships in recent weeks, including Symphony of the Seas, Star of the Seas, and Icon of the Seas. Passengers aboard Royal Caribbean's Vision of the Seas faced a dramatic moment on the Atlantic when the vessel was struck by a rogue wave during its return leg from Bermuda. The 5-night round-trip cruise departed Baltimore, Maryland on September 20, 2025, with a call in Bermuda before heading back to its home port. As the ship sailed northward, the unexpected wave hit, causing the vessel to list heavily for several minutes. Guests described scenes of sudden chaos on board. Crew members rushed to brace service carts while diners held onto tables and chairs to steady themselves. In bars and restaurants, dishes and glassware shattered across the floor. The bar floor was the worst, with glass and liquor everywhere, one passenger reported, noting that crew members swiftly blocked off slippery areas to prevent further accidents. Despite the dramatic event, no injuries were reported, and the ship continued safely toward Baltimore. Rogue waves, unpredictable, unusually large waves, are rare but not unheard of in open seas. Royal Caribbean has not reported any significant damage to the ship, and service resumed shortly after the cleanup. From attending an exclusive jazz concert in New Orleans to sampling world-famous barbecue in Memphis or visiting Mark Twain's childhood home in Missouri, you can discover the best of America's heartland when you join us on board the elegant Viking Mississippi. Unpack once and let us take care of the rest as you immerse yourself in the distinctive music, cuisine and history of this vibrant region. Reserve your Mississippi River voyage today with a $25 deposit to receive free airfare and your choice of bonus savings on select 2026 and 2027 departures. For more information and booking, call 434-258-9264 or email chillie@bookalaska.net. Norwegian Cruise Line is now charging a $5 fee for second entrees in their main dining room restaurants. The newly implemented fee is printed on the bottom of daily menus but has been introduced quietly. This fee can be an attempt to discourage food waste as well as speed up dining service, but some guests see it as nickel and diming. A surprising incident unfolded aboard Jewel of the Seas when 4 Filipino crew members were deported by U.S. authorities on Friday, shortly after the ship docked in Fort Lauderdale. According to an anonymous crew member, officials from U.S. Customs and Border Protection asked the men to meet with them upon the ship's arrival. All 4 were deported later the same day. What has raised concern among fellow crew is the lack of clarity surrounding the deportations. The reporting crew member explained that the men were not escorted off by law enforcement, which suggests that the action may not have been tied to criminal activity. CBP reportedly gave no explanation for the deportations, leaving both the affected individuals and their colleagues uncertain about the reasons. All 4 crew members were part of the food and beverage department, 1 assigned to the bar team, 1 to the restaurant, and 2 in culinary roles. Royal Caribbean has not issued a statement regarding the matter. Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings Limited, parent company of Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania Cruises, and Region 7 Seas Cruises, has announced the launch of a new loyalty status honoring program, allowing guests to carry their loyalty recognition across all 3 cruise brands. The program will debut with sailings departing October 15th, and marks the first time that loyalty members will be able to enjoy equivalent recognition regardless of which of the company's brands they sail with. Members of Latitude's Rewards, Oceania Club, and the Seven Seas Society will see their status matched to the closest corresponding tier when booking voyages on any of the 3 lines. With the new loyalty status honoring program, our guests can experience more of what makes each brand special, while still enjoying the loyalty recognition they've worked hard to achieve, said Harry Sommer, President and CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings Limited. The initiative is part of Norwegian's Charting the Course growth strategy and is designed to recognize loyalty across brands, status matched across Norwegian, Oceania, and Region 7 Seas. Elevate the guest experience. Guests enjoy tier perks no matter which brand they sail with. Encourage brand exploration. With 34 ships visiting over 700 destinations worldwide, members have more ways to cruise. Strengthen guest loyalty. Reinforcing Norwegian's commitment to rewarding returning guests. Guests can begin submitting requests starting September 29th, with benefits effective for cruises departing October 15th and beyond. For more details, travelers are encouraged to visit the loyalty program pages for Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania Cruises, and Region 7 Seas Cruises. Guests booked on the January 11, 2026 sailing of Norwegian Escape will see major itinerary changes, including the loss of Costa Maya and a new embarkation time. Norwegian Cruise Line notified passengers and travel agents that updated port availability prompted the adjustments. The ship will now depart New Orleans at 4 p.m. instead of 5:30 p.m., with port days reshuffled. Roatan will be visited on January 14th, Harvest Caye on January 15th, and Cozumel on January 16th. Time in Roatan and Harvest Caye will be extended by an hour each, while Cozumel's 10-hour stop will shift to a later 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. window. Aside from 2 sea days and the return to New Orleans on January 18th, every other element of the original itinerary has changed. To book the Norwegian escape, call Chillie at 434-258-9264.
For all your lovely work on doing the news for me. My breathing does appreciate that. All right, so let's jump over in the chat room. Yes, Elizabeth, I did not know whether I was public knowledge or not about the Sun Princess. If those of you that didn't see that, Elizabeth will be going after she finishes her little gig here in with her friends in St. Kitts. Will be getting on the Sun Princess. Will be her next contract. So some of you might want to look into booking that. I need to put together a package for Sun Princess for next year. So that will be coming shortly. Give me a call, folks. I'd be happy to set you up on Sun Princess and visit with Elizabeth. All right. Now, over in the chat room, Gary Older Than Dirt's with us out in California. Joanne's with us. Katie's here. Finally gets to watch a live. Mike's with us on the other side of the pond. Sonny's here down in Mississippi. Gretchen out in Ohio. Bob's with us. Checking in quick from Utopia of the Seas. That's right. Bob's on Utopia of the Seas. He's out there fighting the weather. Just let us know how you're doing out there, Bob. Let's see. Katie says, yep. Everybody can see me. That was when I was wondering. I blanked off again while one of the stories was on. I'm not sure what that's from. Maybe that's got to be some kind of a Wi-Fi issue here at the house when I completely blank off like that. It's not showing on my computer except that the screen goes blank. Well, you were, now not. Yeah, that was when I was fiddling around trying to find it. Mike says on air. Hi, Gretchen. Gretchen speaks back to Mike. And there's where Elizabeth came in. Greetings here. Now I got you. Roger's with us up in Jacksonville. Hi, Roger. I was dreaming about you last night, Roger. That was entirely strange. But I dreamt about you at the dining room table in one of the restaurants on a cruise ship with me. And we were sitting there talking about, who knows what we're talking about. And I never remember dreams. So that one was amazing to actually have a dream and remember it. Elizabeth says, wow, I beat the weather. Yeah, well, that's what can I say? I was getting so frustrated trying to find the link to send you to the show. When I go through everything that I post, the link doesn't show up on my end. And then the stupid computer wouldn't let me, while I'm live, get to where I've got the link to. It was frustrating. Anyway, you got there finally. Pacific Map on air. It's not on air now, is it? No, that can't be. Anyway, I'm assuming that the Pacific Map did come off eventually. Hope you get to enjoy that beautiful beach, Gary says. Thanks, everyone. Yes. I'm getting some good beach time here right now. We'll take more photos while here. It's much prettier than where the ships dock. Beautiful and super friendly. All right, that's good to know. Gretchen says hello to Elizabeth. Oh, so now I'm back again. So I was gone. That was a previous message about the map. Okay. Yeah. And I'm just going through the messages as old as they are. I'm right on the ocean here, but there are solid buildings. I'm sure the resort has good plan. Plus, I've got friends on the island. Book the Sun Princess with Elizabeth. Yes, indeed. Call me and book the Sun Princess. That's even better. Jamin's with us. Hey, Jamin. Good to have you back, my friend. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up the show for today. Tomorrow morning, of course, I'll take my car in. I have the car set up. I've got my chair off. It's in the garage. I have my walker in the car. So I've got something at least to use to get, I don't know how much maneuvering I've got to do at the garage to get to the rental car. I'm hoping that it's not going to be much because I can't do much, but I figure I've got to have some help. So I put my walker in there and I'll use my walker to get to the rental car, and I can put the walker at least in the trunk of the rental car, and that'll give me time to get around to the driver's seat, just like I do when I load my chair on the back of my car. So I think I've got it worked out that'll get me home with the rental car. I will have ridden my chair out to the car, left the chair in the yard, and then I'll ride the chair back in the house when I get back with the rental car. The unfortunate thing for the next 3 weeks, I can only go someplace that has drive-through because I got unless I try to walk with the walker, and that, I'm only good for 6, 7, 8 steps tops until I have to stop and sit down. So this is going to be a pain in the tuchus for the next 28 days or 23 days. 23 days. Yeah. So I did get my money back from Carnival, the money for the cruise. I had to pay it. I lost a percentage for late cancellation. I understood that. And I got the money back for the, I didn't have a drinks package, but I had a soda package and the Wi-Fi. That all came in Friday. So it was pretty quick. So Carnival took care of business quickly on that. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. At least, folks, my breathing, I'm not hacking and coughing as much as I was. Still not sure I can do a whole show, which is why I'm still using Nestor with the news. And that is, I'm generating the news. I'm writing the news. He's just recording it for me. And, I hit a button and it plays the story. So that's saving me from spending a lot of time talking, so that the times that I do spend talking, opening, and this part of the show, my voice is holding out. So, all right, guys, that's going to be it for today. I'll be back on Wednesday with some more of this silliness. Maybe then I'll have a good deal worked out on the Sun Princess, so you guys can visit with Elizabeth while she's working and maybe buy some jewelry from her or something. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising. Hopefully, one day soon, we'll all get together on the high seas, like a bunch of us are on the MSC Grandiosa in February. Think about joining us. It's a pretty good deal on pricing right now. All right, guys. We'll see you next time on Travel and Cruise Industry Podcast. Later, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.